Welcome everyone to Great Basin Alchemy. This is Lady G, and I would like to wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year. This is the year of the rat, the first of all zodiac animals in the Chinese astrological system. It represents the beginning of a new day, wealth, and surplus, coinciding with our themes of root chakra healing, abundance, and giving only out of the surplus. We have a lot to cover today, so this video may run long. So please feel free to break this up as you need to. Hopefully I won't have to break this up into a part 1 and part 2 for loading purposes. If I do and you follow through to all of the parts, I'm thanking you in advance for taking the time to not only join me but also make a commitment to growing and healing in this incredible time that we are living in. So how to achieve this wealth and surplus and healing has to do with 3 planets that will feature heavily in this Lunar New Year's energy throughout the year, and opportunities. These planets are Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, and then there's also an asteroid named Chiron. Today we are going to focus on Saturn and Pluto and Chiron. If you are connected with the astrological world at all, you will be aware that there was a Saturn-Pluto conjunction on January 12th, 2 days after the full moon, on January 10th. That was also a lunar eclipse. There's been a lot of talk and anticipation for that particular conjunction, and it actually coincided, well, I should rephrase that. The last time there was a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn was around the time that Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the Wittenberg chapel door, setting off the Reformation, the Protestant Reformation against the Catholic Church, and in particular the Catholic Church's doctrine of buying forgiveness of sins. It arose out of a meditation on the text, "The just shall live by faith." And since then, there has been an explosion in Protestantism against the Catholic Church, which has had both positive and negative consequences. And some of those things, those consequences, we are going to address today, simply because 500 years later, you have to readjust your direction, and that's what's happening today. What was set up then is time to be destroyed with Pluto and transformed into something higher and something better through discipline, which is Saturn. And so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit more. Saturn represents discipline. It is the ruler of Capricorn, where it is currently with Pluto. Saturn ensures that what is meant to happen will happen. And it also keeps checking in to make sure that no areas were ignored or incompleted. So think of this, the first job that you ever had, or your first few weeks on a new job where somebody comes and checks up on your work to make sure that all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. Or when you were a teenager and you were learning, or maybe even younger, when you were learning a work ethic from one of your parents or from a mentor, how you learned to be diligent and pay attention to the details and follow through something to the very end. This is Saturn. Saturn is also the thumb, the being under the thumb, where someone puts the thumb down and holds you to something, holds you accountable for what you say, what you do, and how you move through the world. It holds you accountable for those things. And all of these energies and lessons are what Saturn returns and oppositions are all about. And I'm going to discuss that a little bit more in just a moment. The second planet is Pluto. And Pluto is the planet of death, sex, transformation, and the underworld, or what is hidden. Pluto rules the water sign Scorpio, which is also connected with the themes of death, sex, transformation, and the underworld and what is hidden. Capricorn is an earth sign. So the placement of Pluto in the natal charts, the natal chart is the chart that of all the planets and the asteroids of the sky, the moment of your birth. So the placement of Pluto in the natal charts is one way of defining a generation. Another way is the placement of the asteroid Chiron, which is currently in Aries. Chiron is the alchemist of the zodiac, the wounded healer. And in Aries, this wounded healer shows you where you don't have the right to be yourself. Coming back to root chakra issues of I am. Okay, so I have quite a bit of notes today just because I want to make sure that I get everything covered that we need to cover today. So, Chiron reveals where we feel wounded, ashamed, broken, and inadequate. In Aries, it is the wound of identity, of I am, who I perceive myself to be, and who I demonstrate myself to be to others. So the wounded I am can be portrayed in many, many ways. And so I'm going to list a few of those, such as I am nobody, feeling disconnected from everyone or myself. I am not enough, resulting in a need to prove yourself to someone or everyone about something or maybe everything. If I don't fit in, I don't exist, resulting in a desire to be liked by everyone or pleasing everyone, which then leads to giving your power away and setting up a victim-perpetrator cycle. The tendency to copy others, yet always seeking that role model who is like you, but never finding it. A desire to remain unnoticed with a fear of expressing yourself and beliefs. And that one in particular we're going to discuss today. Difficulty connecting with the body or emotions, or proving your uniqueness by behaving oddly. So think of the movie 10 Things I Hate About You. a tendency to hurt oneself, physically or psychologically, through self-inflicted wounds, abuse of self through thoughts or substances or food or overworking in order to achieve numbness of the emotions. So all of these are coming together now for the express purpose of healing and transformation, especially for those with Pluto in Libra or Scorpio and Chiron in Aries. So take a moment to see where these planets fall in your natal chart, and these issues will be pertinent for everyone, but for those of you whose Pluto falls in Libra or Scorpio and your Chiron in Aries, you will feel it most strongly, because now is the time to prepare for your life's purpose and for why you have come to the planet. So before we continue, I'm just going to remind you that we are looking at the new moon in Aquarius. And for me, this also represents the new year. And the Chinese New Year is this lunar new moon as well. And I found it really, really fitting. So I pulled out the cards that I had pulled for this particular lunar month during my year reading that I did for December 31st and January 1st. And so the theme for the first 3 months was emergence, and doing the retreat and inner work for the first 3 months of the calendar year. And then this represents what is available to us from the higher realms, the higher dimensions, our guides, our higher selves, and our teams, our soul families, and any other beings of love and light, angels who are here to support us. This is the wisdom that they offer, and the energy that is available to us from the universe coming onto the planet, as well as through these beings to us during this lunar cycle. And then this card represents what the planet is offering us during this lunar cycle, what Mama Gaia is offering us. And so we're talking about transformation. This is the dragonfly, which goes through a similar transformational process as the butterfly and the moth. It's not exactly the same as a cocoon, but it's similar enough that the idea of the process of dissolution into pulp in order to restructure into something completely different is extremely relevant here. And I'm also being shown the lotus flower here. Well, it's being highlighted to me where the lotus flower has its roots in mud underneath the water, and yet the flower will grow up through the water and sit on the top of the water and bloom the most incredible colors of flowers that you could possibly imagine. And the dragonfly, unlike the butterfly and the moth, emerges out of the water, similar to this water nymph is emerging out of the water, just like the lotus. And this is representing Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio, which is a water sign, and the emerging, the transformation from the muck out of the water, from the underworld, the hidden emotional muck that is all around us at this time is offering an opportunity to us to transform ourselves into this beautiful iridescent light being who has the ability to fly and rise above. So, howlite represents the energy coming onto the planet, both from the universe, the space in which our planet is traveling through, as well as our higher selves and the beings of love and light who are here to support us. And what they're saying to me is, this is the time to detoxify your body, your mind, and emotions. And this is going to be really important as we move through this lunar cycle, to really pay attention to the destructive thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that we cultivate and we allow to exist in our mind, in our bodies, because these things are things that we need to eliminate through discipline in order to heal and move forward from a place of healing instead of from a place of woundedness. Our identities are not our wounds, and we have been living too long from that place of woundedness that creates more wounds both within ourselves and within the people around us. And particularly if we are parents, it is vitally important that we heal these wounds from our childhood and from our family's ancestors through our DNA, so that these patterns do not continue on, so that we can start building an enlightened society from a place of wholeness, not from a place of wounded identity. And then Mama Gaia is saying, now is the time. You are here for a purpose. You are here intentionally for this time. You are exactly the right age and in the right place for what your purpose is. And now is the time to move forward. Now is the time to be revealed. And how we know this is through the astrology of Saturn and Pluto and Chiron. And so I'm going to continue on with describing a little bit more of what that's about. So, if you are around the age of 27 to 30-ish years old, you have Pluto in Scorpio and are experiencing your first Saturn return. This means that if you haven't been following your path that is true to who you are, you will need to make changes now. And this is not something that is debatable. These changes will happen whether you want them to or not. The urgency and compulsion of these changes cannot be ignored or controlled. For example, and during this time in my life, I changed my religion and careers, as well as deeply explored my sexuality, began drinking wine and liquor, and wearing jewelry, all things prohibited by the religion of my childhood, which was a Protestant religion that had a direct outgrowth from Martin Luther. I also learned how to use food as medicine and attended a non-religious university for the first time. These were the best decisions for me that I have made, or some of the best decisions that I have made in my life, and I have yet to regret them. Without making those decisions then, I could not be where I am now, 18 years later. So it's important to recognize that every step that you make in your life path, in your life journey, allows you to either make another step closer to the dreams that you want to create, or it takes you a step away from the dreams that you want to create for yourself. So if you have a goal down the road, it's vitally important to pay attention to the opportunities that present themselves. Just because an opportunity presents itself doesn't mean that it's going to take you closer to that goal that you have. It's important to evaluate whether or not it can take you there. And if not, then you say, something better, please, universe. Bring me something better that's going to take me closer to achieving those goals. If you are like me and you are around the age of 40 to 44-ish years old, you have Pluto in Libra and are experiencing your second Saturn opposition. The first one happened in your early teens. Your Saturn opposition is about reaping what you have sown. So if you have made the necessary adjustments at the Saturn return around the age of 30 and stayed true to yourself, you will be reaping the rewards of those choices by achieving the goals that you have been setting. If you have not made those shifts and changes at the age of 30 that your soul was prompting you to do, you will be required to make those now. And any areas of difficulty that come up during this time are areas that are ready to be healed and changed. And no matter what, it's time for greater responsibilities and maturities as you prepare to move into your life's purpose. And if you don't do this now, your Saturn return around age 60 years old will really smack you onto your behind. So, I am coming out of my Saturn opposition. And even though I have been on my path and following my path and following the instincts and the guidance that I've been receiving all along the way and making some really incredible life transformational choices, the Saturn opposition knocked me on my ass. So just keep going. Just stay on the path. Keep your courage. Keep your head up. Keep going. If you're feeling discouraged, use some of these tools that I am teaching you here to remain connected with yourself, so that you can remain assured that you are still going in the right direction. Because as long as you know that you're on the path, the right path, and you're staying true to yourself, and you are in integrity with yourself, you can trust and know that the universe is supporting you and that the solutions will come to you as you need them, and that those who have been set up in an agreement, in a contract to support you during these times of transformation will come. They will show up. You just have to be willing and ready to see them as they come to you. So, now we're talking about Chiron and Aries. So Chiron and Aries return is where the focus of healing will be for you this lunar year, if you have Chiron and Aries as well. So Chiron and Aries will be in Aries from 2019 through 2027. This is a really long transit, and it's all about healing the I am, the identity of who you are, and root chakra issues. So don't think that this calendar year or this lunar year is the only opportunity you will have to address these issues. Life is cyclical, and so things will come back to you in different ways for different layers to be addressed and healed. And so during this transit of 8 years, you will have plenty of opportunities to address these issues. But setting the foundation this lunar year is really going to be important for you, because this foundation is going to support you as these issues come up and as we build on them in future lunar years. So whether or not you have Chiron and Aries in your natal chart, these issues will still come up for you. They will just be particularly impactful for those who also have Chiron and Aries in their natal charts, because that means that it's time for these people to step up and be leaders. And your time, if it's not you, your time is coming. Don't worry, there are plenty of astrological alignments that will affect you in the future, or who have affected you already in the past. So don't feel like you're being left out. Everybody has their chance and their opportunity. This particular time is for these people in particular.